This is the Hook Better Leads podcast. I have a guest on today, Logan Shinholser. How do I say that, Logan?
You nailed it. No, that was it. Logan Shinholser.
Do you want to tell them a little bit about your podcast and just a quick excerpt on your company, and then we'll get into it?
Yeah, sure. So I run a podcast with the company the same name. It's called Contractor Growth Network. And essentially what we focus on is we have three niches within the contracting space that we focus on, both sales and marketing, to help you grow sustainably and efficiently. So I know it's kind of a vague description of it, which everybody hates, but that's essentially what we do. And that's what the podcast talk's all about too.
And I'll just really quickly note that our podcast today is going to be on the fact that all contractors look the same and how to differentiate. Because no offense, if you're not a contractor, you're outside of the industry looking in, a lot of people look the exact same. We show our work up front. We have a couple headlines about how cool we are. And at that point, when you're just kind of publicizing how cool you are and stuff like that as a company, me as a consumer, me as a homeowner, I'm just going to look at your website. I'm going to go to the next website. I'm going to go to the next website. I'm going to get three prices. I'm going to submit 3 contact form submissions and get 3 quotes because there's no differentiation. So in the kind of the spectrum, you've got commodity over here on one side, and you've got like a specialist over here on one side. And the specialists, or like people that have differentiated themselves, you're going to spend a lot more money on. And if you're just a commodity on the other hand, we're looking for the lowest price. As a homeowner, I'm looking for the lowest price, and I'm trying to drive that price down. So Logan, what is the secret sauce? How do we get out of this commodity land and into the promised land of people want to work with us, even if we're 25% more expensive?
So it's a great question, because this is what everybody who comes to me, this is what they deal with. They deal with, it's a race to the bottom. If they've ever been on the Home Advisors, the Angie's List, the Thumbtacks, any of those sites, you pretty much know if you don't call somebody back within the first 8 seconds, they fill out a lead and your price is next to nothing. Good luck actually getting that job. Now, with us, we work with remodeling, landscaping, and painting companies, and that's it. I don't work with roofers. We don't do mold remediation. We just work in those 3 industries because all 3 of those are long-term plays, meaning nobody has an emergency situation where they go, oh my God, I got to get my kitchen remodeled like tomorrow. It doesn't happen like that. It's typically a very long sales cycle. And I don't mean just like sales from like the time that they first call you. I mean, from the time that they first even start to think about this stuff till when they actually move forward, you're looking at months to years.
So you have to be differentiated. In these markets, it's like required to differentiate yourself, or else you are literally, you can't make, no one's going to work with you.
Correct. So you have to be different. So what we like to do is, you've got, let's say, of all those people that are somewhere from first in the ideation stage thinking like, oh, maybe I should get my kitchen remodeled, all the way through actually giving somebody a call, like only 3% of those people are actively seeking out contractors to hire. The other 97% are looking on Instagram, Pinterest, HGTV, doing back-end research. Like, homeowners research this stuff, especially for a large investment like this. So what we talk about is, instead of focusing on those 3%, let's focus on the other 97%, because what we can do is, over that journey that they go on, the more trust we build, the more we talk about how we do things, the more that we can educate them on effectively what they're going to get if they end up working with us, the more they trust us. So that by the time they get to that stage where they have to figure out who to hire, they're not shopping around. They already effectively know how you help, what you can do, the process that it's like to work with you. And most importantly, they know ballpark pricing up front. So they're not calling you for a $50,000 kitchen and they've got a $15,000 budget. So that's really what we focus on, is a lot of front end stuff, and then use the website to actually then generate the lead. And then we have the secret sauce in the back end, which is we actually show you how to sell using your website. So you're not actually driving out to give estimates. You're doing everything from the comfort of your own home.
Nice. That's a lot different than a lot of people, like, because I think a lot of marketers, we get really obsessed with the bottom of the funnel when they're just about to make a decision. And then we just want to hammer them every single thing that we can throw at them at that last moment. But what you're saying is start earlier, start up here, be the one that owns the relationship. And when it's time, you'll be the only choice.
How old are you, Tim?
34.
34.
How old are you?
Let's say you're going to go out and you're going to buy a new truck, right? Let's just take the Ford. All right. How long do you think you've seen Ford commercials for in your 34 years of life?
Probably ever since I could recall watching TV. So
yeah, 34 years.
Yeah,
most likely. So by the time that you go to look for a truck, you don't shop around and like look at like 50 different options. You pretty much know who are the big players in this space. Now, the benefit of a contracting company or remodeling company versus Ford is nobody else is doing this. So imagine if Ford's the only truck company actually putting out commercials and ads and stuff like that, and you have no idea who Dodge or Toyota is or GMC, you're just straight up going to buy a truck. Your only option in your mind is Ford. So that's what we're focusing on, is because the way that we all buy is we like these long-term relationships. We like knowing about the brand and seeing it for a long time. Yet when we go to sell our own services, all that goes out the door. We forget how people buy. We forget how we buy ourselves. And we like to hammer everybody in like the 2-week period that they're like kind of shopping around. But in reality, it shouldn't even get to that point. We should have established that everything up front. So we're the only option.
I like that a lot. It's funny in the marketing agency spectrum, the closer you get to like leads and like we're not even going to just do the leads for you. We'll close the deal for you. Like, and down to like that, it gets spammier. And I feel like there's more liars and like scammers on that end versus like, if you get like over here on the brand side, which I hear you saying brand oriented stuff, you have to build your brand. Everything else is a cheat code, and you're old enough to stop looking for cheat codes and to start looking for habits, right? So like on this other end, building a brand is longer, slower, and it looks like a less immediate gratification, but it's much more solid and real. And literally, like you're saying, that's how the big companies do it. And you're basically forgetting it all once you go to market yourself. I love that.
It's like, think about it, if you listen to this podcast right now and you guys reach out to Hook, it's not because you all of a sudden heard of them. It's because you listen to Tim talk over and over and over again, and you built the trust with him. And you now know that he knows what the hell he's talking about. So by the time you reach out, it's almost like you're an overnight success, 400 podcast episodes in the making. So again, you're all literally in this buying journey, listening to this podcast. Yet when we turn around to try to sell our own services, we forget about that. And we just try to hammer them at like the 3%. And homeowners hate home advisor angels as much as contractors do, because nobody likes to get, they're thinking they're going to get 1 or 2 calls. They get 15 people who are now pissed because they spent a bunch of money. So they're going to make sure that they get as much ROI off this as possible. They're going to keep calling you over and over and over and over and over. And these homeowners go into witness protection because they don't want to answer you. And now it's like a lose-lose for everybody. So get it up front. It's way easier on the back end.
Logan, I appreciate your vibe, man. I was just talking to Logan before this podcast. His company is so similar to ours in a lot of ways. And it sounds like you guys serve some different kinds of contractors a lot of the time, but it's just funny how similar your company vibe is too. It's all about action and getting stuff done and about speed and understanding that actions get results, right? Like, so I really appreciated a lot of that. Just don't mind me just fanboying over Logan for a second here. I want to get into stuff around like headlines, like, so when somebody lands on a contractor's website, like, from your perspective, what is our job as marketers to try to like position them in a different light? And are you into copywriting at all? How do you kind of differentiate, or how does your team differentiate contractors' websites when somebody lands on their website? How do they How are you trying to evolve your processes around helping them stand out like a sore thumb or grab people's attention and help them look different, feel different than other contractors?
So that's a great question. And the first thing that we always do is we flip the script of what 95% of websites do. And we don't talk about ourselves. We talk about the customer, right? We don't come in and go like, I saw like a bumper sticker the other day that said something like, we were born to build great houses, which if you think of the subject of that sentence is we, us, me. Nobody cares about you. Homeowners don't care about, like, the contractors that we work with, they don't care about Logan. They're not buying a website because Logan's the man. They're buying the website because what we've set up over here at CGN helps them. So that's the first thing.
He's right, he's right, guys. That headline should be, you were born to live in your dream house.
Yeah. If you flip it little by little, I mean, and this is going to sound kind of harsh, but like, you see a lot of people that are out there with like, the homeless signs saying like, hungry, please help. If they flip it and say like, how would you feel if you were hungry? They would get so many more donations because they're putting it back on you emotionally. So when somebody comes into a contractor's website of ours, what we like to do is focus completely on them and effectively say, hey, if you work with us, these are the things that you are going to get in your life. And we're not saying you're going to get a pretty house. We're saying you are going to get time back with your family. You are going to feel amazing inviting friends and family over. So that's the very first thing, is flip it back on them.
That's awesome, Logan. I can't get it out of my head, the idea of the homeless person sign. I think if I had to write one, I think it would be, how good would it feel? Give me $5. How good would it feel the rest of the day to know you've given back, or something like that?
Yeah, that's amazing. That's good because I mean, I'm a firm believer that like everybody does stuff for their own good, like it's for themselves. Everybody's a little bit selfish. So like when we donate money or donate time, we do it to make ourselves feel better, which whether it's right or wrong, you're still donating. So it's still a benefit to society, but same thing. Like, this is your good deed for the day. Done.
Logan, it's so good that we talked about this, because that is the number one thing I see. Like, I was just, let's say a long time ago, I was at a home show. And every contractor had that problem. And every single one of them, we pulled up the website and it's all about us, all about us, all about us. And it's such a simple switch. It's such a simple switch, but if it's not about me, I don't care, basically, is what most homeowners mindset's going to be. So I'm just saying your stuff over again, Logan, because you and I agree so much. But do you have any other tips? Let's kind of wrap this up with a couple more tips about how to differentiate yourself. What we realize is contractors are all the same. We're all the same. How do we stick out? How do we get out of this spot where we're competing on price all the time?
So there's a couple ways to do it. Easy way is look at your reviews. Typically, the contractors that we work with, their clientele is older, in their late 40s, 50s, 60s. And when they go to leave reviews, they're not typically super verbose. It's shorter. So that means that whatever somebody's saying about your company, that's probably like the most important thing to them. So they talk about, like with the painters we work with, the most common thing is that it was so nice working with them. They finished everything on time. And when you see the fact that everybody over and over and over and over and over in every review is talking about how they finish on time, you go, you start to see trends of what people are continuously putting in. So with like the painters we work with, it's typically a lot of people are going to say something like they finished on time, which means that was a worry that somebody's not going to finish on time. So then what we do is we take that fear that people have and we actually leverage that as one of the benefits of hiring us and it could be a guarantee. Because when I talk to clients, I ask like, do you guys finish on time? They say, yep, always. I'm like, okay, what happens if you don't? And they're like, well, we never have. And I'm like, okay, what if you made some sort of like guarantee that like, as long as everything is, the scope of work stays the same, we guarantee we'll finish on time, or else blank happens. Well, now you took their biggest fear and you turned it into your biggest asset of working together. So now they're like, okay, well, maybe maybe this is more worth it. So that's typically how we'll do it, is we'll understand, because every single person that when we talk to them, we say, why are you better? Well, our quality of work and our customer experience. And I'm like, okay, great.
That's what I hear every single contractor ever say. So like if you find yourself to saying that to a marketer or your marketing team, just knock it off. Just remember, everyone says it, and you're never going to say we have terrible customer experience and our quality of work is trash.
Right. So you have to somehow take that and understand what actually makes you different. So that's a huge piece. And then also there's like little things here and there that if you can make your actual product better, because everybody talks about, oh, we give a better experience. Okay, well, that's great. But like, they're not hiring you because of the customer service. They're hiring you because they want their kitchen remodeled, and you happen to give a better customer experience. So you have to understand that they're not looking for customer experience companies that happen to do roofing. They're looking for a roofer that also knows how to communicate. So if you can somehow make your actual product that you give better, so whether, let's say, you do warranties, in the industry, most people do warranties of some sort, but a lot of people don't talk about it. So in itself, if you have the same price, the same everything, and one company has a 10-year warranty and one has no warranty, you're probably going to go with the 10-year warranty company. So that makes your actual product or service better in itself, not just the experience that we're talking about. So it's little things like that, between talking about them, but then also figuring out a way to actually stand out, maybe take a problem in the industry and flip it into your biggest asset. And then people will start to build the trust with you, and it's game on.
Beautiful. Logan, you're a killer guest. I really appreciate you taking the time to be on the podcast. Give them your web address and your social handles here.
Sure. So if you go to contractorgrowthnetwork.com, easiest thing to do is if you go to that, we'll stalk you on all platforms. Just retarget you until you end up following us everywhere. So, but it's all the same: YouTube, our podcast, all Contractor Growth Network.
Awesome. And of course, this is the Hook Better Leads podcast put on by hookagency.com and Hook Agency all over social. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great day.